Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm
no,
not.
no, it's vegan.
I don't care. You just came with all this materials and silverware and glass bowls and stuff. Like you about to have a meth ice cream
Yeah, we're gonna
scoop
have, yeah,
challenge?
That's what we're doing. Yeah.
No way. I'm gonna pass on all of that. Cause I don't know what you got going on over
Did she
here.
press start already?
It's been started.
Oh,
You
it's
know
been-
how we do it.
all right.
We just randomly jump in. We'll address the people in a minute, but I don't know what's going on. I'm low-key nervous.
We're coming back to this. So we got other stuff to talk about first.
Oh, yeah. You did say you got some stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about it at some point. Shout out to Callie's Cookies, though, by the way. So I'm kind of hungry, so I might snack on this. It's vegan. It says Happy Valentine's Day for those of you that celebrate all that madness. But it's vegan pumpkin cookies, so it has nothing to do with Valentine's Day, I guess. Do people get pumpkin stuff on
No, I
Valentine's Day?
think that's more fall. Yeah.
Yeah, so we still in the fall, so don't judge us, you know what I mean? But anyways, welcome to another episode of Y'all Want to Talk About It? Okay, it worked with Freddie B, man. I gotta get them other dudes that's missing, so don't look for them. But we got it together, Ebony and Ivory.
That's right.
So, anyways, it's been another great week.
It has
You
been.
text me and said, I gotta get some stuff off my chest. You wanna start with that? Or you
I
want
do
me to-
actually, yeah. It's about
Because you ain't never said that.
No, well,
So I'm like, what happened to The Simpsons?
I feel like I'm taking it out on a dude who's not here to defend himself, but
Oh,
we might have a narc in our midst.
dang.
Yeah,
That was a good video game back in the day, I think, on
Which?
Nintendo.
narc.
There was a game called Narc, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, anyways.
Remember we talked last week. We talked about Galentine's Day. We said we
Okay.
thought it was weird, and we said we didn't like Valentine's Day. We didn't celebrate
I agree.
Valentine's Day. Yeah.
Yep.
And then today is actually Valentine's Day. We're filming this on Valentine's Day. And I woke up this morning and in my social media feed, I see young Chad out last night at a Galentine's Day event
Yeah.
celebrating.
Yeah.
But not only that, dude had a pink blazer.
That sounds Chad-like.
Like he was prepared. It's not like they just called him and he showed up. He has an outfit for
But that, he
Valentine's,
probably had the
Galentine's
pink
Day.
blazer already. Like, he's a stylish type of dude. So he probably just went, in his walk-in closet like, this'll kill him.
Really? You think that?
But I can't.
I think
hey,
he has a whole outfit for Valentine's. And I think last week when he said, yeah, Valentine's Day is trash, I don't do that. I think he was lying. I think he has a whole, like he's been planning it out
I mean,
for
I
a
got
year.
the same invite. And I just had better things to do.
Right, but did you have a pink jacket to wear to that if you got invited to that?
Nah, I don't actually own. Let me think. No, I had one pink button up once in life. And that's it. So, no.
I don't
But he's not here, so we got,
we
next
got-
week we'll interrogate him
All right,
on
we'll ask
the
him about
pink
the pink
blazer.
jacket.
Because it's probably just part of his Easter outfit. That's some black people stuff.
Easter outfit.
Yeah, black people on Easter be wearing the most ridiculous colors. And
Really?
yeah, that's what we do. Go to church with the lime green and whatever can be the most Easterish colors.
Do you do that?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say I
I
don't
just
remember that
watch
from
it.
last
I just
Easter.
watch it. I don't celebrate none of the trash.
Okay.
I'm not celebrating what's tomorrow, President's Day, and I ain't doing that either.
You don't. I mean, I don't think you celebrate President's Day. Like I don't think you get a tree and presents or anything like that for President's Day.
You don't get a tree for Easter?
No,
Do
you
you
don't.
think I Easter tree?
No, but Easter. The
You don't
Easter
get
bunny
Valentine's Day trees either?
No, but you get Valentine's
Unless
Day
you
cards.
smoke.
There's not a thing for President's Day. Like it's not a holiday that you celebrate. It's just everybody gets to not have to go to work.
I know, but see, this leads me into. By the way, shout out to everybody because it's supposed to be technically it's Black History Month, and I feel like it's a setup.
You feel like it's a setup.
Yeah, Black History Month is like shortest, coldest month. Let's start
That's
there.
funny. That's funny.
Let's just start there. You know we like to barbecue.
Right. Yeah.
You do know the whole world is frozen tundra right now.
Right, yes,
so no
that's
one's
true.
barbecuing except for us here in
Right.
Arizona and maybe some people in Miami.
Right.
Or something. So coldest, shortest. Then in the midst of Black History Month, you have Valentine's Day and President's Day to let's just overshadow it with other stuff. I'm just saying.
I can't argue with any of that. You're right. You're right.
I peeped the game. I'm like, yo, like, and then people are upset. Like, oh, we can't. Why we don't have a month and blah, blah. We're like, yo, we grew up learning other people's history, their stories about who they are and their heroes and Columbus and all these dudes.
I told you that story about the Morgan Freeman video that I saw.
Yeah.
So Morgan Freeman does not like Black History Month at all, and he was being interviewed by Mike Wallace, and he goes off like he's mad. It's funny, you don't usually see Morgan Freeman like that.
Yeah.
And he says to Mike Wallace, he goes, what? You're Jewish, right? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, is there a Jewish History Month? He goes, no. He goes, why is that? Why do we have to have a month and you don't have one? But his point was that Black history is just history. It should just be taught all the time, right? That's his point.
But now you have people saying, I think it was at some school in Utah was saying like they're getting rid of it, like you don't have to learn anything about Black. And this is part of what's interesting is that's what I'm saying, right? When we come up through the school system, we're learning everything about other people, everything.
Right.
And that's it. And then you have to go do research on people that look like you on your own. Like, so, and I'm not, someone else might say, well, what about Asian history? I don't know. I'm just speaking for, there's Black History Month. And I used to be the person that's like, let me put out all this information so people can learn. And now I'm like, no, go look it up for yourself if you really want to know.
Right.
Right? Like, I should be able to, well, I will, but I should be able to post any time of the year. But it's like, we could go through a bunch of stuff like, y'all wouldn't even be eating peanut butter if it wasn't. Anyway, we can go through some things. Stoplight, anyways, just saying. And in the midst of all of that, brings me to our first topic anyway, before you get to whatever's going in there.
Okay.
It took Aunt Jemima off the pancakes and the syrup. And part of me is like, okay, I understand. And there's another part of me that's like, you guys are trash. And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
First of all, I wish I could have sat in on a meeting of the renaming. Because that is the biggest trash.
What is it called?
It's called Pearl Mining Company. So Aunt Jemima is now Pearl Mining Company.
Right.
And I'm going to be honest. I know the history behind it is kind of on some slavery. Like, she's mammy and all that. I get it. But I'm going to be honest. As being a so-called Black person, when you see somebody on a box that look like you, you're like, I'm buying that. When I see Pearl, what is it? Pearl Mining Company, and it's a little building. I don't want that syrup. I don't want them pancakes.
Why are you so-called Black? You just said that you're
so-called. Okay, so you go open that door, right? So this tablecloth is black.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah. And there's no country, like I can't fly back to black if I want to go home.
Yes, I understand.
So it's not a nationality, it's just a color.
Okay.
So when I say so-called, because it's just a color.
Got you. Okay.
That's all.
All right.
But yeah, so that, like, who sat in the meeting and said Pearl Mining Company? That's like, why couldn't it be like Aunt Karen or something?
Right. So it's
They
terrible.
probably would have sold none.
I agree. Terrible name. I think they were just trying to go completely like racially agnostic. But what couldn't they just change the image to have like your aunt? Like what could have been Aunt Dorothy's pancakes?
It could have been.
Right?
It would have been selling.
Right.
Man, Dorothy's the truth too.
That's what I'm saying. It didn't have to be. They didn't have to completely take everybody off of it.
It could have been a successful. It could have been Oprah's.
Could have been anything.
Like,
Yeah. Right. Because I read that the dude, I guess the actual woman on the bottle is his grandma.
Yeah, and they want their money.
Mad. He's like hot.
Yeah.
He's like, you're erasing our family history, and
They want their royalties
Oh, well, I didn't even think of that.
for exploitation. Like, didn't pay us, right? So it's so layered, right? Because part of it is like, okay, we're trying to move forward and get away from whatever. And there's a whole other part of it that's like, yo, for however many hundreds of years, it's like we've had these conversations where I'm like, you guys will do everything else. Hey, take her off the...
Right. Yes.
You will do anything else.
Right.
Than what we're saying, hey, we're looking for this. We want more justice when it comes to the police. We want people still talking about reparations will probably won't happen in nobody's lifetime. However, they're like, well, we'll take her off the syrup. No, we actually liked her on the syrup.
Yeah, right.
So now who I'm supposed to buy syrup? Because now I'll be looking sideways like, pearl mining? They probably had some people working for them for free too.
Yeah.
Pearl mining?
I agree with you.
They could have put somebody else on there. And then everyone's in this like, oh, they're putting Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. I'm not excited about that. Money is becoming obsolete.
And nobody has cash anymore. It's good for
They're like, hey, you walk into a place, cashless.
all the time.
Oh, but I got these Harriet Tubman $20, that don't count now. Band-Aid on the boulevard.
Again, it's a nice gesture, but you're right.
It's cute, but not. Because pearl mining, you guys at least should have came up with something more creative. Because I'm like, so now are they going to take the cream of wheat dude off the cream of wheat box?
I was going to ask you that.
Are they going to take Uncle Ben off the rice?
But, well, okay, let's deal with the cream of wheat dude first.
They cousins, by the way, Uncle Ben and the rice dude.
Are they really?
I mean, I don't know.
Oh, you're just saying.
Okay. That just might be.
But the cream of wheat dude doesn't look like he just looks like a chef. It's just
looks
a
like a
black
chef.
right?
Yeah, they could have changed Aunt Jemima whole.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what they should have
Put
done.
a hair, nice little hair tie,
Right.
some Afro puffs, Rage, the Lady of Rage or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of ways they could have handled that, right?
Pearl mining.
I know. I didn't like it.
Now there's a building on there with smoke coming out of it.
Right.
That doesn't make me want a pancake.
What does that have to do with syrup? Nothing.
A good question. What does mining have to do with syrup?
You got me.
Man, they could have just put a tree on there.
Yeah, well, a maple tree, right? Yeah.
I would have been cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that, man. So shout out to Black History Month and you guys erasing stuff that matters.
I
didn't say you.
No,
don't let
guys.
the guilt
like,
hit you so hard. I'm
like,
saying
wait.
the powers that be that
okay,
took this off.
The people.
You know what I mean?
I got you.
Yeah, we can't have nothing.
I know that was bad.
Put Michelle Obama on. I don't care. Put Beyonce on the syrup.
That'd be a good idea. That probably
I
sounds.
don't know. Cardi B. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Just put someone on. Put Felicia Rashad on the syrup, and we will. Their sales are about to drop. Watch. They're gonna have to do something and bring like the whole family tree. They're gonna have the whole family up there. There's gonna be 8 people on the syrup because they're gonna watch how y'all lose money.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Cause I'm not buying it. I mean, I wasn't buying it since I've been vegan, but still.
No, but now you're really not gonna buy it.
But I'm still on my cream of wheat though. Don't take the cream of wheat man off the box. He was just cooking.
Yeah, but there'll be no reason to take him off the box, right?
But they'll be like, we're taking everybody out. You know how you start with one and then they're like, man, this offended somebody.
Oh yeah, no.
So yeah, I don't know. Anyways, what you got going on over here, man? Because I'm concerned.
Okay, so I got to take a little detour to get to the story. Okay, so when I was in university, I took some philosophy classes about ethics and stuff like that. And what they do is they're trying to figure out how you feel about, I don't know, pick a topic like euthanasia or whatever, right? And so they talk about, they pick the extreme case on either side, one side or the other, like something that everybody would be like, yes, I agree with that. And then they just go, well, what about this? And they move you one step closer all the way to the extreme case on the other side. And it's somewhere in there, you'll figure out where you fit on the line. You'll be like, okay, that's my line. That's where I agree. So if we want to talk about euthanasia, I believe this, and here's where I fit on the line. And usually, when you do it, you don't fit on the line where you think you did, because you're like, really? That's interesting.
You about to do an experiment
no,
on me
kind
right
of,
now?
yeah. So we're going to talk about, okay, so we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to talk about, the question is, would you eat it or not because it's vegan? It's a vegan question. Would you eat this because it's vegan?
Okay.
All right. So we're going to start at one extreme. The extreme is raw broccoli. Would you eat it?
What do you mean raw broccoli?
Raw
like
broccoli.
Fresh off the...
Yeah. Would you eat broccoli? Raw broccoli. I mean, you probably don't like, it's really crunchy, but would you? It's
I
vegan, right?
would.
Yeah, it's vegan, right?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you eat it if I cooked it? Would you cook broccoli?
Depending on... As long as you don't put butter, like
No. Just I boil it. It's just boiled broccoli. Yeah, you eat that. All right. Would you eat? It's not a setup. Would you eat?
I would eat this cookie.
I know you eat that. Would you eat genetically modified broccoli?
Probably.
Yeah, and I mean, we've had this conversation a bunch of times. I don't know if we had it on the podcast, but you were talking about when you guys were in Greece how all the vegetables tasted so much better over there, right?
Different world, for sure.
Because all the vegetables we eat here are all genetically modified. Yeah. That's why they don't taste so good.
Absolutely.
So you do eat genetically modified broccoli all the time. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're willing to eat genetically modified broccoli. All right. So if I take that broccoli and I roast it in the oven with like a little bit of olive oil and some salt and pepper, would you eat that?
Still eating it.
Yeah. Okay. So if I put some cheese on it, would you eat that?
Nope.
No. Okay. So let's back up. What if I put some cheese made out of cashews on it.
Depends on what the cheese tastes
It's
like.
cashew cheese though.
I know, but it depends on what it tastes
Oh,
like.
you're picky about your cashew cheese?
There's certain things in the vegan life that are still, I think, need help, and cheese is one of them.
Right.
Well, there's some good cheeses out there, but for the most part, my experience with vegan cheese has not been like, oh yeah, this is great. It's kind of been like, it's a texture thing.
Okay.
But I would probably still eat it.
Okay.
I would try it. I'll say that.
So the thing about the vegan cheese is that they got to get something that is like a milk protein, right? That they can turn into the cheese. So they can do that a couple of nuts are an easy way to do that, right? They can also do it with like pea protein and hemp protein. So they got to extract from something, right? From peas or from hemp or from nuts. They got to extract something that they can make kind of like that milk protein to make cheese. So you do cashew cheese maybe if it tasted good. Would you do pea protein cheese? You could do that?
If I would try.
Have you tried hemp cheese? Would you try hemp cheese?
I would try it.
Okay, what if I told you that they could take a protein out of mushrooms now and make that into cheese?
Well, I'm not a big mushroom fan.
Doesn't taste
I
like
would
mushrooms.
try it.
They're taking the protein out of the mushrooms. You
I
try
would
that?
try it.
Okay.
It's the only way I'm gonna know.
Yeah, that's right. What if I told you that the protein that came out of the mushrooms is molecularly identical to cow milk whey protein?
That's a good fun fact.
It's exactly the same. You still eat that, you think?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. It came out of a mushroom. It didn't come out of a cow.
Yeah.
It came out of a mushroom.
Right.
Okay. And it doesn't have like no lactose or anything like that. It's just the whey
Right.
protein. They can make whey.
So I'm not gonna get no BGs.
No, yeah. Right.
Okay, good.
No.
Continue.
So, all right, what if the way they got the protein into the mushroom was that they put some cow DNA into the mushroom?
We're talking about DNA now.
We're talking about a tiny little bit of cow DNA went into the mushroom, and now the mushroom makes whey protein.
I don't know. I would question that.
I knew you would.
I would question that.
See, that's where I figured you were going to draw the line,
That's
right?
my line.
Okay, but we said genetically modified broccoli is okay, but genetically modified mushrooms are not okay?
Well, you didn't tell me the broccoli had cow DNA.
Well,
in it.
that's how usually they genetically modify with other vegetables, right? But
So my thing is this, especially when it comes to the animal stuff, right? Like I respect it, but I'm not like, oh my God, the animals. Like, if you show me a video, of course I feel that way.
Oh,
man. Somebody told me when it wasn't coming, then they show up on the, I'm going to be at the end of the, shout out to Dino in the building.
Shout out to Dino. All right.
Commitment. I'm sorry.
So,
no, you're good.
There's certain things that I would try in life, and then there's certain things that I'm like, no, just because I feel like, well, that's gonna hurt my stomach, and I don't want that on my resume.
And I know
just
you
like
don't.
when people say they're lactose intolerant, and I'm like, do you know what intolerant means? It's right there in your face.
Right.
But people will be like, oh, well, I'm gonna take, what is the pills? Lactate or something.
Right.
Like they will absolutely know if I drink this, it's gonna eat me up on the inside.
Right.
But I got these pills to try to combat that versus just leaving it alone.
Right.
So, but I that's my line.
Okay.
And I don't really eat broccoli like that for all y'all watching.
We eat broccoli in this house all the time, man. You eat broccoli here all the time.
I don't eat it. I don't buy broccoli. You talking about your house?
All right. So
is broccoli in my house? No.
there's a new company that's
doing cow DNA.
they're putting cow DNA into the mushrooms, and now it produces whey protein. The same if you get whey protein powder in your shakes, right? I know you don't because it's out of milk, right? Molecularly identical to the cow milk protein, but came out of a mushroom. So they're saying it's animal-free and plant-based and lactose-free, but they can't tell you it's vegan. They are saying, this one actually says vegan on it, but they can't, they say animal-free instead and plant-based.
Well, of course, they always find a loophole in the game, so no.
Well, here's the question though, because
I'm out.
I had a feeling you were out, but that sounds like it could be a huge change in the whole vegan food game. You're gonna have to start checking labels. It's just got this crap in it.
Well,
but no, I know he is. He does check labels.
And most things that are vegan, like legit, will say certified vegan.
Right.
The way they get away with certain things is it doesn't say that on there.
Right.
So they can say what he just said, animal free or whatever, right? Because it doesn't say that. It might say vegan friendly. Mm-hmm. It might say dairy free,
right.
lactose free, whatever free, and it won't say anything about vegan, blah, blah,
because
blah.
If I'm not mistaken,
animal free, vegan, lactose free.
But again, what did I just say? You ain't hear me because you was running around.
Yeah.
It will say certified vegan.
So the thing is
which
and,
would
and
be
don't
another
quote,
thing on
Don't
that.
quote me on it, but from what I was reading up, it was a lot of these guys get away, and a lot of these companies get away with saying something is vegan or plant-based or whatever, but they get away with it because there's like a 1% that is possibly not, because a lot of these companies, if you look at them, most certified vegan stuff, it's hard to come by, and when you find it, it's a very small portion of what you're getting. So when you start seeing these companies that are mass producing these things that are, vegan based or whatever, there's a 1% that they can't fully say it, but they pass vegan or plant-based certifications, but they're being made in a factory that's produced with multiple other things that aren't. So it's like cross-contamination is what you're seeing.
This says 100% vegan.
Right. But what they'll do, it's okay, in the same breath, in the same game. This is how they get away with telling you something has 0 sugar in it. Mm-hmm. Sucralose is a chemical compound for sugar. Right? They don't have to call it sugar because it's sucralose.
Right.
So they write on the bottle 0 sugars.
Yep.
And everyone says, oh, I'm going to get that. And you turn it over, and they could even say 0 where you read up here. Mm-hmm. And down here, it'll say sucralose. Yep. And that's how they get away with it, because it's a chemical, technically not a sugar.
Just like when they say that, like a lot of people who drink diet soda over regular soda. Like for me, I got an addiction to drinking soda, right? Like I'm addicted to it, but I never got into the fact. Everybody's like, well, why don't you drink, 0 calories, 0 sugar? And I'm like, because that's actually worse. Because when you read those ingredients that follow under, it's a lot. There's a lot of stuff in there that's like, wait a minute, this is like a byproduct of like sugar or something like.
Of course, but
so
that's how they get away with
it.
With the diet and the whatever. Mm-hmm. So this has your DNA in it. That's what you want me to do.
Not my DNA in it.
The cow DNA.
No, but
so why would you do that to me? When I just said no, I'm not gonna try it. And now you're like, try it.
I'm gonna try it.
You should have just let him try it. And
I thought of that, and I thought that's kind of mean.
It says contains milk protein.
Yep.
But it's not from a cow. It's milk protein from a mushroom.
But you just told me that
it's actually really
something from a cow is in here.
But they took the DNA.
It says non-animal whey protein, which doesn't make sense.
Right.
Right now, I already got a trust issue, so somebody else gonna eat this. Because how's it whey protein?
I just told you.
No, you told me the DNA from it. So they took something from a cow.
See, the reason I can tell you that this definitely contains a milk,
you can feel
is because when you eat ice cream, and I'm an ice cream listen, man, I don't think anybody can eat more ice cream than I could possibly eat. But I'm telling you, I think when you eat like a plant-based or something else that's true 100%, it has this grainy type of texture to it. This is very, I mean, it's good, but it has that milk creaminess.
This is why
I'm not trying it. So while y'all do that, I'm gonna eat Callie's cookie because it's vegan.
Hey, what's up?
I trust her more because she's local.
What's the forgive me for not remembering her name with the Powerballs.
Aaron?
Yeah. Yo, shout out to Aaron.
Shout out to Energy Balls.
Listen, man,
with a Z.
Listen, I need to hit you up because I need to order about 1,000 of those. Those things were phenomenal, man.
Dino's gonna eat. He's the ice cream guy. Here's the thing. It says right on there, 100% vegan. And if you were in it's in the store in the same rack as all the other vegan ice cream, right? The coconut milk ice cream, the cashew, whatever, right? And the reason that I got it is I feel like it's almost false advertising.
It is.
Do you know what I mean? I don't think they can call that vegan.
No.
And it kind of bothers me that it says 100% vegan on there. And they try to like, oh, animal-free, come on, man. You put cow DNA in a mushroom, so yeah, it's whey protein. It's molecularly identical to whey protein because you got it from a cow.
Here's another example that's similar, right? My nieces, they're twins, and they have celiac,
Right.
so they can't have gluten at all. So I didn't realize until I got further in it with my sister, and she was explaining to me, because I would buy stuff, like when I don't see them that often, so when I buy them stuff, I'm like, oh, it's, and I look for gluten-free. But it's crazy because their situation is so severe that it goes even a step further, that like a lot of times my sister and my brother-in-law have to read the box, find out where it's from, and then at the very, very bottom at a fine print, it gives like a ratio of how much of it actually is gluten-free. So like if the ratio is off to the number that they're allowed to have, it'll completely destroy their stomachs. And I mean, it's like bad. But again, I have the same issue, right? Because I look at it, I'm like, well, how does somebody get away with calling something
right?
it's
Because
the loopholes. So they do that even with vitamins, right? If we were like, hey, we're gonna create this thing, and
I'm only eating this because you never let ice cream go.
Yeah, you should eat it.
right?
Yeah.
And we say, hey, we're gonna make this vitamin C.
Right.
Just to get it approved and whatever, to have the label say that it's vitamin C, only 10% of what's in there has to be vitamin C. And the rest 90% is whatever fillers and whatever you need.
Or whatever, yeah.
So it's like, yes, I have trust issues. Yes, I'm sure that tastes great. And yes, the wordplay is how they're gonna get people. So I already have vegan ice cream that I love. Currently, I just bought some. I should have brought them. No, I shouldn't, because I don't want to share. They're like vegan ice cream sandwiches, and they were so good, it's unbelievable. But I usually eat So Delicious or whatever. So I don't know if they're doing that too, or this is just this company or whatever, right? But people will find a loophole. It's like there's a company that goes around and actually makes sure, if you say that what we sell in our like Protein House, we have these patties and they're vegan. It's called Next Veg, I think. Something like that. Anyways, I met with them one time, like a year and a half ago. And they were like, it's our job to come to Dino's spot. And if he says this is vegan, we make sure that that's exactly what it is, from what's in it to how they cook it. And then we put our stamp of approval of like, this is vegan. And they make their own locally, like patties and whatever. Okay. And now that's what they have at Protein House, the Next Veg stuff. So it's like, there's people that understand the game and are like, hey, we're going against that.
Well, see, I'm glad you shared that, because I had this theory in my head, right? When everybody started going into, everything's organic and everything's this and that, right? Like, and not to get, it's not like digging down the rabbit hole conspiracy, but it's not far-fetched, right? Like when you think of business strategy, if everybody's saying that there's not enough food to suffice the amount of humans that we have, right? So that's why they're genetically creating all this stuff. But in my mindset, I'm like, okay, well, why wouldn't a business just turn around and say, well, hey, listen, since we don't have enough of this, let's buy some time and just start this fashion of everything's organic and more. And then what happened? Everybody started shifting and buying organic, not realizing the same topic that we're talking about. A lot of the stuff that is saying big box organic, you know what I mean, isn't really organic. Because again, like you look at,
they always say, this will always get me. It'll say naturally and artificially flavored. Yeah. Bro, which one is it?
Which one is it? Yeah. Well, like for example, I was just telling Kenyatta, because I've been working with him a lot. Like I like to snack. I'm a snacker, so it's like, okay, if I'm gonna eat, then if I'm gonna snack on stuff, I'd rather try to be as clean as possible. But it's interesting because I told him, I was like, man, I picked up some vegan Cheez-Its. And I was like, I don't know how this is gonna taste. It's gonna be kind of weird. And first of all, I was mad when I opened the package because it was literally like a box, and it was like this much Cheez-Its.
That's the hustle.
You know what I'm
saying? That from your chips.
Yeah. So I was like, yo, what? This is literally like 3 chips. You know what I mean?
It's portion control.
It's portion control, right? Yeah. But in all reality, like when I ate them, I was like, yo, this is really, really good. And so that, I think what I'm learning as I talk with Kenyatta a lot is you have to do your research on what you're getting, but then 2, you start to find that when you do find those ones you tend to stick with those. Like I found that plant-based with the cookies and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I started finding they make crackers, saltine
Right.
crackers, and
They
like
make a lot of
yeah,
stuff.
they make a lot of stuff. And so like everything that I've tried of theirs, it's like, yo, this is like spot on.
Right.
And it just, like me being somebody who loves to cook, who loves to, to eat and stuff like that, like I always think of that, like, why is it so hard? Like, it wouldn't be that hard to create something that tastes that good, right? It's just finding the right ingredients to make it mimic what you're doing. But what I was getting to is I always wondered that, like, who is going around policing? Like, who's the organic police that says, hey, this is certified? Like, this is, so I'm glad you shared that as far as at least the vegan side.
Yeah.
But that's for restaurants though, right?
Well, yeah, that's
they
for
go to
restaurants,
restaurants and stuff.
And that's why it's hard to find. Like, I think what I'm learning is if you do try to go that route, I guess, from me as somebody who's starting and understanding, I think you would maybe, relate to it, is I think you got to pay attention, as cliche as it sounds, you got to pay attention to like the packaging and the wrapping. Like if something says vegan and organic, but it's the family pack size, you know what I'm saying? Like the likelihood of it being, I don't know. I think
Here's the problem. The reason that I found out about this ice cream was somebody sent me a TikTok and went, check out this new vegan ice cream. And so I'm watching a TikTok and I'm like, wait, they did what? They're like, oh, it's science, it's magic, it's this cool new, this is gonna be like a breakthrough for all vegan foods. We can have milk now. And I'm like, what? So then I went and Googled about the company and I like went and investigated how they do all this. And I'm like, yeah, dude, that's not vegan. That's not right. The problem is, this is not a small company that's doing this. This is a huge company. So it's the guys that made the ice cream are not the company that makes the whey protein. Okay, so there's a big company that's making this whey protein. So they're gonna start selling vegan whey protein, and it's gonna be in everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And people are gonna be able to call it vegan, certified vegan. Yeah, whatever. Came from mushrooms, and I think that really, really flies in the face of the whole point of being vegan. Like, why are we trying to make vegan milk? That doesn't make any sense, right? Like milk, whey protein. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So, I don't know.
I mean, it looks like it was great, but I'll stick to what I know.
It definitely was great, but it tastes just like ice cream. And like I said, you could, because I've tasted the what is the one you said, the soy?
I do So Delicious. I can't remember the name of this one I just bought. I'm gonna take a picture of it, but their ice cream, it's unbelievable.
Like I've tasted a lot of those other ones just to see, but again, like there's a distinct taste in like 100% vegan stuff. Even if it's close, like even if it's like dead on, there's still a distinguished taste in what you're doing or what the product is because of that. But yeah, I mean, I think it sucks because for somebody who's trying to transition over and do it and maybe doesn't have somebody, like I'm blessed to have somebody who's been doing it for a long time, right? That I can say, hey, I mean, I don't think I'll ever fully go all the way, but I think a majority of my life changes are leaning towards that way because I'm finding that there are things out there that do taste just as good. But it is, man, it's and it's the same question I always ask myself, like, why is this so much more expensive for something that's natural? You know what I mean? For something that's but it's because that, and to that same point, it's because when you start mass producing something, just
the value goes. This is the same as what I tell people about. Once I saw Beyond Meat at high schools under the scoreboard as like the sponsor, or like at an NBA game I was like, I'm done.
Yep.
Because now, I mean, and whoever created it, of course, they're making whatever good for you. Right. But once it hits, so I'm always looking for stuff that's like, oh, you never heard of this? Cool. Because then, to me, the integrity is still there. It's small. It's 5-6 ingredients. That's it. Mass produced, Beyond Meat is everywhere. And now everybody got an Impossible Burger, even Burger King. And I was just reading an article that Nestle and Kit Kat is about to come out with their own vegan Kit Kat. But I'm like, I already got Reese's and like. But even then, like, because when you taste the Beyond Meat, like, yeah, it's good and whatever, but like, you could taste, man, like that thing has a lot of like oil, a lot of chemicals, a lot of stuff in it. I don't even buy it. That, it's completely different. And it's, to me, it's like, man, once you start going, like, I just found out my dog eats super good. So I was feeding her this company called Open Farm. And it's crazy because they literally, like, you can scan the barcode of the bag and it'll literally trace it back to where that particular bag was made
and the process that it went through and the ratios and everything. It's confusing as hell, but I thought it was really cool that you could follow it. But I just found out now that they just closed the deal with starting to get into PetSmart and all these other things. And so for me, I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna feed her that. You know what I'm saying? Because that, like, she was eating before, like, it was literally, it advertised like a human could eat it, right? Like, that's how.
So you tried it?
No, I didn't try it.
Oh, why you didn't try it? For the team.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I just it has that
Next week, taste test.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring some for everybody. Make some brownies. But you know, it's like the same thing. Like when you read those bags, you know what I mean? Like the first 4 or 5 ingredients is like 90% of what's in there. So when like my dog, it says like lamb and it says like carrots and it says, you know what I mean? Like it's great. It's good food she's eating. The doctors are like, man, she's phenomenal. Great. But now you're starting to mass produce.
Yeah,
at what point, you know what I mean? The quality's gonna go down.
Off for sure.
So it's you know, I'm the same way even with my dog. Like I look for little like like mom and pop shops and local brands that are, you know, because it's the same thing. Like you know, people feed their dogs all these crazy things, and I think to myself, ask yourself as a dog in the wild, like is a dog gonna be in the wild, you know what I mean, going after rice? No, like the dog's not gonna eat rice.
But you gotta think that that's how we operate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happens. Like that's how we operate.
We start feeding our dogs.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make you eat like how I eat. And
and then it goes.
we know that the American standard diet is trash.
Right. It is.
You know what I mean? And portion control is not a real thing, and everything is in what's bigger and more. I need 8 patties on a burger. Why? Because I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting.
I used to watch Man vs. Food all the time.
Yeah, the 6 years I lived,
I used to love it.
the 6 years I lived in Hawaii, man, it was interesting because I was fascinated with the way like the Asian culture eats and how everything is, I believe it's called like the dim sum, where it's like just little like they literally put everything in the center and then you just pick at things that you're eating. Yeah. But it's interesting because it's everything that they eat, it's portion controlled. It's, you know what I mean? Because even like when you go to the steakhouses where you order the meats and stuff and then you cook them yourself, it's interesting because it's like you're in your mind, you're like, bro, this little 3 pieces, order you as much as you can. I guarantee you within like 5 bites of that stuff, you're going to be full. But it's because, and then one of the older gentlemen broke it down to me. He was like, it's because of the way your body processes. In America, you're taught to eat with your eyes, you know what I mean? And you're just devouring food. Right. So your system is like, it doesn't have no time to process. It's just like, yo, we got to dump this. Right. And then when it finally hits, it's like you told me, right? It's overloaded and it's like, yo, now I'm crashing, which is where we get the comatose. Right. Whereas like you see people that are there that can eat all day, but they're eating small portions. Or you look at people overseas that even with alcohol, like, you know, when you see Germans and stuff like that they drink, man, I drank with a German when I was in El Paso. And I was like, we were drinking. He's like, you know, that's the problem with you Americans. You don't know how to drink. He goes, we drink all day. I'm like, what? And he goes, you guys pour a shot and this is your shot.
Right.
He's like, we pour a shot and like, this is our shot. And we enjoy and we drink all day. And I was like, man, that makes so much sense. Like,
it's not so much excess. And that's why there's a super size and a bigger this and a Costco with a bigger, everything is bigger, more.
You gotta almost beg some of these fast food restaurants to get a small. Like, no kidding. Like like with my kids, like sometimes I know it's not great, but like you get caught up and it's like, let me just stop at McDonald's real quick and try to get them some nuggets or something. And it's like, I gotta beg them, yo, can I get a small? We don't have a small. I know you have a small. Let me get a small. Like
man, cut the check.
Like, you know what I mean? They just want you to have freaking massive, and it's like, God, man. Like,
or the small is more expensive than the medium or whatever, right?
Right.
We got a small, it's an extra $1.
Yeah. And that's the argument too. People are like, why is unhealthy food so cheap and healthy food costs more? And that's usually the excuse of like, but I'm like, listen, man, you're going to spend the money either way. Yeah. You might not think that $5 adds up, but it's going to add up. Right? Yep. And it's about choices and like being open to trying. That's the thing, right? Try something new. I would have tried this if you didn't give me the DNA, right? So I appreciate you for telling me that.
That's why I told you. I didn't because I didn't think you were going to eat.
But in general, I try new things all the time where I'm like, let me try this and let me see it. And if I like it, then I add it to my lifestyle. If I don't, I'm like, that didn't work for me. If my body rejects it, and I just tried this Chloe's, I don't know, some type of pizza, like vegan pizza that you just make in the oven. Was it horrible? No. Was it great? No. It was just kind of a thing. But I never had it before. So that Sprouts, I'm like, let me try it.
Well, I do that
it's
with
not a victory. You know what I'm saying? They're not always victories,
Yeah.
and so you have to be okay with that. Like, oh, okay, this isn't for me.
Well, people always ask me that too. Like when you go to, you know, what my favorite thing is when I go to a restaurant.
Food.
Well, that too. But what I love doing, because
right, and desserts.
And desserts. Don't forget the desserts. Now, what I started doing a couple years back was because I noticed that, like, you know, your palate changes as you grow, right? And I really was fascinated with cooking. But in cooking, you have to have a palate. You have to be able to expand your palate. And so what I started doing is I just started going to restaurants or like places, and I would ask them, what made you famous? Like, what started your business? And then they would just be like, and it was fascinating to see some of these like local shops. Oh, it's not on the menu, but let me tell you, it's this and that. And I'd be like, cool, just bring it. And I just started trying things, right, and just expanding it on it. And I do that now even with my stepdaughter. Like today, I made a homemade. It was a thyme mint pesto sauce, and it was from scratch. And like she looked at it and was like, nah. And so like I have this rule where I tell you, you got to try it. If you don't like it, you don't got to eat it, but at least try it, right? And it's expanding her palate. But it was interesting because she tried it and was like obsessed. She killed like a massive bowl. You know what I mean? But again, it's even just that, like the fact that I made it from scratch and it was fresh, just tasted like, you know, like my girlfriend came down and was like, oh my God, like, why is it so light? Why is it so fresh? And I'm like, well, I don't have,
it's
you know,
real.
It's real. And I took out a lot of like the other ingredients that are, like I used an expensive olive oil and it, you know what I mean? And that stuff makes a difference. So, you know, I think it's, you gotta be willing to expand though, right? You gotta be willing to try. So many people are like, no, I'm not eating that. That looks horrible. It's like, you didn't even try it. How could you, what do you have to base off of?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you try it. If you don't like it, 95% of restaurants will take back the food. If you're like legit.
Are you a send back person?
If I try something, like if I'm at a new spot and I try it, I would, because I think it's fair to the chef and the owners of the restaurant, right? Like
I'm weird about that, bro. I'm like,
I don't like to say something.
yeah,
no,
I don't trust people.
But again, but again, I agree with you. But I live by the motto, right? It's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? Or not what you do, but how you do it. So it's different if I'm like, yo, this is trash, man. Like I need, like, yeah, I'm not.
I won't do that. I'll just be like, all right, this didn't work.
But no,
now if they come to me and say, hey, can we get you something else? I'm like, yeah. But I mean, I've been out with people who like send stuff back them times.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean? And it's like it becomes a thing where you're like, bro, you sending it back again? Like, chill out, bro. Like, we can go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Just don't. Because I'm like, they got to make my food, too. They're like, man, table 7 tripping. They keep sending this stuff. Oh, no.
No, I'll legitimately, like, if it's something that I try, like, if it's, obviously, if the food is bad, then, yeah, I'm going to send it back. You know what I'm saying? But if it's something like I try, like the same example I gave, and I'm like, hey, let me try something. I try it, which I've done before, and I've taken a bite, and I'm like, ooh, yeah, I'm not a fan of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they'll come around, and I'll just be like, it was really good, just something in it just doesn't sit well. Like, is there any way that I can get... Yeah, I can't do celery. I can eat celery raw, but I can't do celery in my food.
Really?
I hate celery in my food. Like, I mean, I will spot it out in a heartbeat.
Dude, it's
that's
in
what
everything.
happened.
That's how I feel about cilantro.
I can't do celery.
Really?
Yeah, like I can. It's weird. Like I can. Like that. The example I just gave was that it was some. I was eating some. I forgot what it was. And they brought it in, and it was actually, the flavors hit, it was good, but then the after bite hit, boom, and I tasted the celery. I was like, I can't do it. I was like, I'm really, really not a fan of celery. Even the chef came out and was like, you tasted the celery? And I was like, yeah. He's like,
what about juices?
I can do celery juices. But it's weird, like in pot roast or what's the other one, like tuna salads and stuff like that. Yeah, I can't do celery. It's weird. That's like that's a big one for me that I can't do.
Wow.
You're not alone, man.
I'm not. See, I'm with cilantro. Tastes like soap. Anyway, yeah,
Cilantro?
I got the G. Yeah, it tastes like soap. It doesn't. It could be something great, and I hit the cilantro, and I'm like,
see,
well, this is over with.
Yeah.
Because now the whole thing tastes like soap to me.
That's
like,
the problem. Is
like
cilantro
if I can
is
take
very
it
strong.
off and get away with it, but if I catch a piece, soap everywhere. I'm like, what is this, Dove? This is trash.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So
Cilantro.
moving on, I don't know if you heard about this. You sent me this, and we briefly talked about it. I know you're like, what? I send you a lot of stuff.
I send you a lot of stuff.
Right. In the Olympics in 2024,
This is awesome.
supposedly,
If we have an Olympics,
if we have one, I don't know where it's supposed to be. Where it's supposed to be. Who knows?
I think it's
2024.
Qatar. No, I'm thinking. Yeah, no. The
No,
Olympics.
that's like
No, that's the World
the
Cup.
World
I was
Cup.
thinking about something else.
Breakdancing.
Oh, I heard about that.
And I'm like, I don't know know, bro, how I feel all the way. Because,
Okay.
they started with break out the cardboard box. Let's get it on the side of the street.
There better be a piece of cardboard
It
on
gotta
the car.
be, you know what I mean? And now you got Jabberwockies, and I ain't mad at them because they're dope.
Yeah. Or the two, I think the French twins.
The twins, them two.
Twins is cold.
But I don't know. As a sport,
Wow.
like as an Olympic sport.
So, I fight with my kids about this all the time. I believe that if it has judges, it should not be a sport. It should not, like, it's not a figure skating, gymnastics, any of it. If there's a judge, if that's how you win, is there's a judge that says that it should not be a sport. Because those judges are all so corrupt. And they all,
okay.
you know what I mean?
I can see
they
that.
don't.
Yeah.
It's so hard to say. Well, this was like one dude does figure skating, one dude does amazing spins, one dude does jumps. How do you say which one's better? How do you say? I don't understand. Yeah. There needs to be a score at the end, right? And that's how we say it's a sport. So, and I get a lot of heat for that. A lot of heat.
I mean, I can see why, because it's tough. Like, I know gymnastics a lot because my little cousin was a phenomenal gymnast.
Right.
I mean, she broke crazy amount of records at a young age. It's tough because it's one of those things that I guess you have to really understand the sport, right, to then understand why there's judges. But I see your point because yes, there is corruption.
There's sometimes like
the slam dunk contest that happened that my boy got robbed twice. By the way, twice.
It's a great example.
That was a great example. They had freaking Dwayne Wade should have never been a judge in Miami when clearly. You know what I'm saying? This guy, my boy from Orlando won. You feel me? But I'm just putting that out there. Yes, there is a bias because now I'm bitter about that. But that's a prime example, right? Like the bias of judges.
Well, but okay, if we talk about like Simone Biles at the last Olympics, I mean, she was so much better than everybody else in gymnastics that yes, she should. I mean, the stuff she was doing was ridiculous, and I can see that. I mean, as a person who doesn't know anything about gymnastics, she's way better. Okay, but how do you decide second and third? Because they're so close. How do you make it's really, really hard to make that call.
It becomes technicality, man.
Right.
It becomes like certain, like there's certain moves and certain, like in soccer, right? People always ask, how do you, like when people talk to me and I watch like a match and I'm like, man, that game was 6-3, and they're like, what, bro? It was 1-1, and I'm like, no, there was 6. There was 5 other shots on goal that should have went. There's certain things that are just in sports.
But at least in soccer, I mean, unless the officials really cause a problem, but right, at least in soccer, there's a ball, it goes in a goal, you get a point for that, right? Like same thing with basketball, same thing with hockey, football, all those kinds of things. So my breakdancing is going to fall into that whole thing. Like, how do we judge this, right?
Right.
How do we judge? And the Olympics is supposed to be what, higher, stronger, faster, right?
It's the best. Of
right. So if it's supposed to be pure sport like that, how is breakdancing? Ballroom dancing is also going to be in the Olympics. I believe it's in.
Well, that's like what was the baton twirling thing?
Yeah, the rhythmic gymnastics. That's still in too,
I don't
right?
understand how some of those things, like when you're thinking about too of like, I mean, how do they even come up and qualify like this is a sport for the Olympics? Like that to me is just kind of weird. Like when I think of Olympics, I think of like the track and fields, the shot putting, those type of things. But then gymnastics, just because it's always been in there. But excuse me, some of these other ones, I'm like how? Like, what do you even base this off? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand it. I don't know.
So I actually have some background on this. So when I started curling, it was not an Olympic sport.
Okay.
And they were trying really hard to get in the Olympics because what it means is now your national sporting body gets funding money from the government, right?
Okay.
Because, for example, in the U.S. Olympic Committee, right, the USOC, they want to win medals, right? Mm-hmm. So if you got a sport that looks like it could win medals, they give you money. Right, so now you got money to pay for coaches, you got money for extra development, it's all about money.
Right.
So getting your sport into the Olympics is a big deal. So I remember one time when we were trying to curling was in as a demonstration sport in 1988, and then they were trying to get it in as a full medal sport, and they needed to get, I can't remember what it was, some minimum number of countries that were members of the World Curling Federation to say, yeah, we're a curling nation, right? Mm-hmm. So we're out at the curling rink when we were practicing, and they brought in 2 dudes from, I don't know, something like Greece or somewhere like that, like someplace where they don't curl, right?
Right.
And they walked them out on the ice and went, here's a rock, give it a shove, okay, your curler's good. pay your money, you're in the World Curling Federation. That's another, and that's how they were getting their membership up.
Wow.
Now there's, I mean, it's not a problem now because there's tons of countries that we talk about the Nigeria Curling Federation and stuff, right? There's tons of places that curl, but that's how they got it. They you know, there's lots of string pull because it's all about getting money.
Right.
So if you get breakdancing in the Olympics, right? I'm sure there's a national breakdancing federations association, something, right?
Yeah.
Those people are going to start getting paid because they're going to get money from the USOC. That's what it's about. That's why they want to do
crazy.
that. It is crazy. And if you took out all the sports that have judges, man, you'd take out an awful lot of sports. It'd be like a whole bunch of them would be coming out.
Well, yeah,
right?
I mean.
So it's never going to happen. But I'm just, I that kind of rubs me the wrong way. However, I did say when I sent you that, man, the USA better win breakdancing.
He said that, and I was like, I don't know, man. Asians be killing breakdancing these days.
Well, because it's all about, basically they're just gymnasts, right? I mean, that's basically
Right.
Yeah, so a lot of those.
Kind of.
But in conjunction to what you guys are saying, because I had to pull it up just to make sure about Simone Biles and how great she is. So they're actually talking about penalizing her for trying something that has never been done.
Penalizing her.
Yeah, for the dance. I think it's the dance routine, right?
No, it's so there's a move, and I'm not a gymnast or
Right.
whatever that she has been working on that she wants to pull off, and it's considered like on the scale of their letter grade, it's like a J. And it's like no one really ever does these things.
Right.
And it's like a J and an H, and she's putting the two things together. It's like a double twist, something. The skill level is worth a full point. Like it's, and so now the whatever, like you said, when there's judges and all that stuff involved, the committee is saying that
No.
like we'll discredit you for doing it.
Well, I mean, that's
She's like, why? Like, you guys tell us to challenge ourselves or push ourselves to another. She's like, am I in a league of my own currently? Absolutely. But like, if I want to get better and be better, I'm going to do more. So it's called a triple twisting double somersault on the floor exercise and a double twisting double somersault dismount off the balance beam. So in two different worlds, she's going to try two things that are like low-key unheard of. And they're like, well, we'll penalize you for that if you do it.
I mean, that's on the level of like turning around and saying like you penalized Jordan because he jumped from the free throw line. Like,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
She literally tweeted like ha bullshit on their like
Yeah, on their
for
main
them
thing.
saying like, oh well, we're concerned about the athletes and someone could like break, like they can fall on their neck or what. It's like, yo, this is what they do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and if she wants to take it to another level, but it's just like back in the day, I forgot the lady's name who she was a figure skater, and they told her she couldn't do the backflip. You can't do the backflip, and no one ever done it, and woo. So she does it, and instead of winning the gold, they gave her a silver, and that's to your point about these judges and being biased, because it's like, hey, it's people out here that are willing to do the extra work that hard to do something that you said maybe because y'all couldn't do. This is the thing about judges, and that's why once you said it, I'm like, I agree.
It makes
and
sense.
you can catch whatever smoke you want, but I'm like, you got these old, bitter people. Maybe they're younger too, whatever. But there's something to be said about like, man, I could never do that, so I'm gonna hate on the person that can pull it off. You know what I'm saying? And then try to discredit them like. You're gonna penalize for someone for pulling off something that.
Well, look at in boxing,
So
like
great.
why, like Tyson brought up the issue with his whole thing that he was pushing because it's the same situation, right? You got not only do you have judges, but then you also have promoters and stuff that don't want to risk their personal promotion or whatever the case is. But then you got two fighters that are like, yo, we want like a lot of people. What was it? I think people were talking about the Garcia and what's his face that just won Davis. Like they were talking about, and I think they're in different classes or something, like, so don't quote me on it. But like, nevertheless, it's you got two fighters that want to fight, right? Or you got a gymnast that wants to elevate, and you got somebody like, who are you to come in and say that we can't do this based off of what? You know what I mean? Based off of what? Because you're afraid that you can't do it, or you're afraid your national team or wherever your money and funding is going isn't going to win? I mean, then that defeats the purpose of calling it an Olympic sport. Because an Olympic athlete is just that. They are who they are because there is nobody better than them in that position or
But
in
it's
that
always
category.
been that way because wasn't it Was it Mayweather? I know it was Roy Jones got cheated when he boxed in the Olympics. He got. I mean, it wasn't
robbed.
even. It wasn't even
Mayweather's
up for
first loss
debate.
was in the Olympics.
Roy Jones was.
Yeah, he
I'm
was bad.
talking. He beat that dude down, and they were like, "Nope, he wins."
Yeah.
Olympic boxing is the worst.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
So you talking about judges and whatever? Yeah, I agree as far
Now,
as that goes.
I do want to say when Surya Bonley did the backflip, there was actually a rule at the time that you couldn't do it. She fought to try to get the rule changed, and they wouldn't change it.
Right.
The thing that Simone Biles, there's no rule saying you can't do that.
But-
they're trying to make one
but
up.
But
still-
here's the thing: if there's a rule, then that means that somebody has done it.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So then why, like what, like at that point, why, like
Right, well,
I don't know how to
no,
word
I-
what I'm
I
trying
understand.
to say.
It's-
what
why
I
is
mean?
there a
rule? I
Why
get
is
it.
there a rule?
Right.
Because if it'd be different if like she brought this up and they were like, well, shit. I mean, we don't even know what that looks like. Can you show it? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
what is it or what? You know what I mean?
Right,
And then
right.
they're processing. I could see that of being like, man, there might be some concern. But to turn around and tell somebody like her and be like, no, you can't do that because that's on grade scale J. Whoa, wait a minute. So you let somebody do it just
But
so you
now I
can
can't,
have,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So I think I think I'm with you guys, man. I will say this. I don't think I'm with you on the judges thing, but I'm not sure like as far as like if there's judges then it's not a sport. Like I'm still trying to like
So the argument my kids make is
because I'm with you with the judges, right?
right because my kids
corruption.
do ballet and they're always
Right.
like, Dad, ballet is a sport. I'm like, no, it's not. Don't get me wrong. What they do requires tremendous athleticism. and
for
it's
sure.
super hard.
Yeah.
But it's not a sport because there's no score at the end. That's my argument, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay,
that's
so
what I'm saying.
that's what I was gonna
There's
ask.
no
What do
score.
you define
There's
as
no
a
win or
sport?
lose.
There's
in
no
ballet.
winner.
Like,
The only way
you
we
just-
can tell win or lose is you can say that kid was better than that kid or whatever. That ballerina is a better, prettier.
because they're
ballerina.
performing.
Right. They're performing. It's
But
an
they're
art.
getting, and I'm only playing it because I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
But they're getting like in gymnastics, they get scored on points, so they do get points.
But a judge
But-
scores them on points.
as opposed to you physically scoring a
Right,
goal.
the
I got it.
ball
Okay.
doesn't go in a hole
Okay,
or anything
I can
like
see that.
right?
Then. All right.
I don't have to, or
Yeah,
I don't have
yeah.
to cross a line with a football or something like
So
that.
then, would you well?
I mean, even boxing. There's judges in boxing in the
Yeah.
Olympics, and it's so rigged. It's just
Yeah.
awful, right? I mean,
What about cornhole?
See, that's a sport.
Yo, first of all,
That's
I
a
was,
sport.
Yo, first of all, I was 38 hot. I was so mad one day that I was flipping the channel and I watched these dudes play corn. Yo, my man was drinking a beer.
They're so
he had
good
a
at
dip
it.
in his
Hey,
hand,
man.
bro. He had the dip cup in his bag. He was, hey man, you gotta throw that thing one more time. Phew. Won.
Right,
My man won 70 grand. I was like, yo, you get 70 grand to play cornhole?
He might be that one dude. I looked it up because I saw it on
I was
ESPN.
tripping.
And I was like, I respect anything. Like, I'm like, okay, this is not my thing. I didn't know what cornhole was, so I moved here. I'm just being 100. Like, I
Cornhole's
never
actually
heard
I
that.
have it. I'm gonna get it.
It's a
No,
lot
I
of
don't.
fun.
But I was like, do they really get paid? That might be a specific whatever.
No,
They're
it
not
was
really making
they
money
literally
like that.
have a World Series.
Oh, I
of
know that, but
cornhole.
I googled how much they make, and ain't most of them ain't getting what you.
Oh no,
just
no, no!
said.
This one was a World Series, so it was like the
It's-
finale of it. It's like
it's
kind of like
taken
poker.
off.
So
Yeah,
it's a
taken
sport.
off.
That's what you're saying.
I don't know. That's what I'm
To
asking.
his point,
Yeah,
By my definition, it is.
by your definition.
because there's no job.
Listen, and we know there's a bunch of really fat, out of shape dudes playing baseball, and that's a sport, right? So,
yeah, they making a lot.
right, and they make a lot of money. So you can't judge it by am I in good shape? Does I have to be tremendous in really good shape to do it? Because I can think of a lot of sports with a lot of dudes that are not in good shape, right?
Right?
Oh yeah.
So golf is another one. Yeah, I mean a lot of them are in good shape.
So-
don't get me wrong,
so
but you
what-
can do golf and not be in good shape.
So with lifting,
Like powerlifting.
like powerlifting,
I think it's a sport, right? I live more than you. I win. There's no judge that says how much, right? I mean, all the
Well,
judges
there
they
is
do
just
no-
say,
say, yeah,
did you
true.
get it all the way,
right,
right?
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right?
That's facts.
I can see, yeah.
We run a race. Who wins? Who gets to the line first, right? Who throws
We
this
had this
thing the
conversation
farthest?
a long time ago about people brought up NASCAR, and they were like, "Is NASCAR a sport?" And I'm like, "Yo, what? Like, do you understand the G-force that those guys go? They literally drive 200
I
miles an hour,
respect it.
and the G-force level that they're at is like the equivalent of a fighter jet. I forgot what it was. I think you could look it up, but it's anywhere from like 7 to 11 G. Like, it's ridiculous the amount that those guys are going.
So I love to watch auto racing. I not so much NASCAR, more like the open wheel
Formula
stuff,
One
but
and
Formula One and stuff like that. But I watch NASCAR. I really enjoy auto
I
racing.
was dope at Need for Speed 3
Yo.
on Dreamcast. Oh, go ahead.
Cruising USA.
The argument though is
Grand Theft Auto.
is it the machine or is it the driver, right?
It's always the driver.
So well in NASCAR, because those cars are so similar, right?
True.
I think it really is the driver. Sometimes in Formula One, it's the car. Sometimes, like you'll see Ferrari go and win every race for a whole year, or win 19 out of 20 races for a whole year. It's the car.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't disagree. I'm a fanatic of
in
racing.
some of those situations, I mean, there's just been
because in
years
the Ford Ferrari thing, they got cheated. That if you go back, man, y'all gotta watch the documentary too. Not the movie. Watch the documentary on Netflix. The Ford versus Ford versus Ferrari. Like they did my man Ken. Like this dude lapped everybody, bro, on the Le Mans, lapped, and then they made him slow down, okay, so that Ford can have a 1-2-3 win. Right? But because he slowed down, it's based off of time, distance. Right. Because he slowed down, he had a late start in the beginning. And then the guy who came in third had a higher start because something happened with his car. His door would mess or whatever. He somehow got back in and won, but because he slowed down, the time ratio changed and it put him at third. Like one of the greatest, complete robberies ever. You know what I mean? Right. But to your point, I think I could definitely see how the car in Formula One, but I mean, I still think it's the driver though, man.
Don't get me wrong. You have to be an amazing driver to do that. But there was years, I bet you think back to the Michael Schumacher years, right? Where they literally won every race and Ferrari was 1-2 every race.
But their car,
because their cars were better than everybody else's cars.
They tuned them up. But the reason why I was saying to watch that Ford Ferrari is pretty dope and the reason why I'm saying it's the driver is because that dude he pushed the Ford GT to levels that nobody would, like the red line would be, 5,000 RPMs. Like this guy was running at 8.5, 9,000 RPM. Like they thought he was crazy for what he was doing. But again, and that's where knowing you can build the car however you want, but you, the driver, have to know what the car is capable of to know how far you can push. But I agree with you. And I think in those times of the Michael Schumachers and all that, Ferrari was just so far advanced technologically that it was almost as if the car was driving itself. You just had to have somebody to
Tesla Ferrari.
Right. Yeah. Just they had some. It was two equal drivers. The Ferrari was going to win every time. That was the problem. Yeah. So I still think it's a sport as long as the machines are equal, right? As long as you can say that the machinery is equal.
So you wouldn't say drag racing then?
Drag racing? No, that's all. Well, okay, but again,
whoever's the fastest.
Whoever's the fastest, but that's more about the car. I mean, I get that a lot of drag racing is just who pushes their foot down when the light goes green. There's a lot of that reaction time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But some of those dudes they just got a faster car, right? Or a lighter car.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can have a faster car, but I mean, because you can win off the, or what is it? You can win off the. I forgot how it was. It's been years since I've drag raced, but yes, a lot of it.
We need to have Anthony here for this conversation about the cars because I think
he'll be back next month. So let's just.
All right, we can pause
bring it up for
we'll ask
when
him
he comes back and see.
All right. That'd be a good one to get because it's like a 50-50 split on that one.
Right.
So
that's a good
all
one.
right, so we're gonna move into this new segment called Where They Do That At. Okay.
I missed a couple.
It's all good.
It's okay. Yeah. During all rehearsal, I was going, "Where did they do that at?"
Yeah, I'm trying to teach them how to make it flow, right? Where they do that at. It's a flowetry. You know what I mean? Don't try to be all proper English. We don't care. Okay? We don't care.
Where they do that at?
See, you gotta let it ride.
Gotta let it ride.
So I don't know if you sent me this or somebody anyway about the whole internet was talking about the attorney dude who got on the Zoom call with the cat filter.
Listen,
that's funny.
So it's saying
y'all
gotta learn technology or else. Okay, ... because
he's like, I'm not a cat.
He said, I got my assistant. But the way he said it too, he's like, I got my assistant. We trying to figure out, but if not, we just gonna roll with it. But the whole time, all you see is the cat's eyes like
yeah. Because he's looking at the keyboard. You can tell he's looking at the keyboard trying to figure out what. Oh my god.
Yo, that was by far one of those Zoom call meetings, like the memes and stuff they have. Oh my god, those things are so funny.
It's the technology version of. Remember in My Cousin Vinny when he shows up in court in that really horrible suit? It's the technology version of that, right?
Yeah. I'm
Yo.
like, bro, you're an attorney. Like,
man
people
said, I'm
trust
not-
you. Like,
He said, yo, we just go around with it.
Oh man.
Oh man, yo, everybody else was like, you just see the people just
like,
looking.
how do you bounce back though? Because your respect level is kind of like, hey, bro,
Yeah.
we not talking to you in the next Zoom unless you bring the cat filter back, bro. Like now that gotta be your thing.
The best part was that the judge is the one who's like, I think you have a filter on a video. Filter on. You need to turn that up. The judge is trying to tell him how to do it. I thought that was the judge's technical support now. That made me laugh. That cracked
And
me
he
up.
couldn't do it.
And he couldn't do it.
You gotta learn
those
these
Zoom
things
calls are
before
dangerous, man.
Yeah.
I done seen some funny ones, man. Joe, no. You just see the people are like, there's like 30 people like, no. Oh my God. Oh.
They think people don't see them. They don't got no clothes
man,
on
got the
under
lotion
here.
out and
Oh man. Doing the most on the Zoom call.
Oh my God.
There's a thing. This is what I do all day long. I'm on Zoom calls all day long, right? There's a thing now. Everybody wants you to turn your camera on. If you just had your camera off, so many of these problems would go away.
Yeah,
right? Everybody wants you to have your camera on now. It's about, I need to see your face. I need to be able to see your emotion while you're explaining. No, I don't really want to turn my
Feel
camera
my
on.
emotion.
Right.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, I don't want my camera on. Because that's how those kinds of problems happen, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that if we could just go back to, it should just say
Conference
whatever his
calls.
name on there. That's all. Yeah, it just needs to be.
Yeah.
Why is the camera?
But then we
on?
would have never got this cat
I
filter
understand.
moment that was priceless. But
Also,
I know there's a lot of stuff that has happened that's been like, hey, bro.
Don't let your kids use your work computer. That's the other thing, right? Like that's how that filter got on there. His kids
Somebody
or his
set him
grandkids
up.
or something like don't.
Somebody set
That's
him up. That
hilarious.
was classic.
Eyeballs.
The eyeballs, man. That's what got me the whole time when I was watching it.
His low key became
So-
the old school clock.
Yeah.
With the
my
cat
cousin-
in there.
My cousin posted the meme, like the photo of it, and I was laughing. I was like, oh, this is kind of funny. But then I watched the video, and that's when I lost it. I was like, yo, he's like, I don't know what's going on.
He was just stuck.
Yo.
Like, hey man, y'all leave some of this.
I would have just hit the
technology
power
alone,
off
you
on
know?
that one. That's one of those you just,
Yeah, y'all just call me later, man.
Yeah.
I can't figure it out.
can't
He
figure it out.
Control Alt Delete. He
That's
done
it.
did all the old school stuff. Ain't working.
nothing worked.
He like, no, you don't clap off. Oh, man, tripping.
Where they do that at?
Man, where
That was a
where
good
was
one.
I don't even
It's
know.
not even
where
somewhere
it
in
was.
Texas.
That sounds about right. Yeah, somewhere in Texas.
I mean, you would have guessed Florida probably first, but it was
Hey,
actually
hey,
somewhere in
hey.
Texas.
Leave my Florida people.
He
God,
said-
Florida,
he
man,
said-
get y'all stuff together, man. We always on the news for something.
First 48. I mean, I live down there, so I kind of.
I know I'm from there, man, and it's
know.
just it's heartbreaking
It's a different.
because I can't even respond when people are like,
what are you gonna say?
"It would have been in Florida." Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Probably.
You like probably so.
You're right.
Probably so. And I don't want to bring up nothing. I don't want to say negative, but you sent me a voicemail yesterday,
Oh yeah.
and we had to have a real conversation because we have these conversations all the time about a reality
Yeah. Yeah.
that sometimes we live in, and people think that we just be making stuff up or it don't be happening. And I was actually at a comedy show when you sent it.
Oh
But
really?
it hadn't started yet.
Got
So
it.
I was like, man, this dude sent me a voice, something happened. And I'm listening to you, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yo.
So if you
and
don't
know-
want to explain
nah,
it,
nah, I got no
cool,
problem
but-
explaining it, man, because I think people need to also understand that like this is a serious problem in America, and you know what I mean. Like for me, I take it a lot personal, again, because I'm a veteran. I'm a combat veteran, and so it's like I know that this stuff exists, and I've always known it. But to tell you what happened was I was at the gas station with my lady and my stepdaughter, and I'm getting gas, whatever. So I leave the car to go inside to pay, to grab some stuff. And as I'm walking, I see the car coming. It's just this vehicle coming my way. But I had enough, obviously right away. So I kind of like hesitated, and then I seen that they stopped. So I started going. I'm just looking down, just walking like normal. But I see in the corner of my eye that this car is like accelerating. So then like I did just like you did. I kind of like turned and I looked, and then like I see it's an old white lady and her husband. And like, she's like literally just gunning the car. And in my mind, like I immediately was like, yo, this is really about that. I said, okay. Like I was willing to put myself on the line to like make this happen, right? And so like I kind of hesitated to see, and then she like swerved out the way. But as she did that, I'm staring at her, and she's like, dumbass, and then blows the horn. And there's a guy next to me, and I just stayed in the car. Like I just stayed there looking, and I was like, if I would have stopped, right? I know she wouldn't have been quick enough to react.
Right.
Because in her mind, she was just ignorant and doing what she was doing, right? And she probably would have hit me, okay? Or let's take it a step further. This is another reason why I stopped carrying, you know what I'm saying, my weapon, for this reason, right? Because now, what if that would have happened and I would have turned around and drew my weapon on you?
Right.
Right? Because now the level of the stupidity of what you're trying to do, first of all, it is a vehicle versus a human. What are you trying to prove, right? But that's the problem I have in society, right, with today's government. Because now if I would have did that to protect myself in front of my kid and my lady, right, I probably would have been in jail.
Right. Yeah.
Because the truth of the matter is, little old white granny and Uncle Sam in the car are gonna, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna win it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? And like, to me, that really bothered me, to where like there was a second in my mind where I almost like was gonna throw my phone just to get them to stop. But again, it's kind of like, it's to me, it bothers me, the double standards in this world, right? Because if I would have reacted to that, I would have been done. I would have been done compared to that situation, right? They would have played ignorance, whatever the case is. I mean, it is what it is. Call it what it is. And I know there's going to be drawback and heat for some people saying, oh, you know, all this stuff doesn't, the shit exists, man. And if you're not seeing it, like, it's real. People out here are ignorant and they don't care about what they're doing. But now, like I've always said, until the level of consequences matches, you know what I'm saying? Or until that person is staring down the barrel of the gun, it's never going to change. These people are always given a pass, right? Because of the money that they have, or because of whatever the case is that they have, right? Because let's be honest, if they did that, right, I'm doing okay. But what do I do when they come at me with Johnny Cochran? You know what I'm saying? As an attorney, right? Like,
he's dead.
Right? I know, but I'm just saying.
When they bring him back, bro, you good. You in good hands.
But what I'm saying is, like, what do you do when you're fighting somebody who has the capability of that? And our legal system is so wrong when clearly I wasn't doing anything wrong. I'm walking across the street, but because you don't like the way I look or the color of my skin or whatever the case is, you feel it's right for you to do that?
Well, and this is what I always, try to attribute, because I wrote you back, like, hey, bro, you being tested. Meaning, like, this goes to anybody. As you grow and as you mature, or as you awaken, as people say, and you start seeing things for what they really are, you're always going to get tested to see, well, can you handle this situation? Or how will you handle it? Are you really growing, or you just posting cool stuff on Instagram, right? Are you really, you know what I'm saying, the motivational stuff? And that doesn't mean that you, listen, I could be as motivational as need.
But are you living?
And I can still knock you the hell out. Like, there's both, right? Yeah. But I don't walk around like, hey, I'm this tough whatever. Right. And it's like, so I'm listening to your thing, and I'm like, yo, I gotta write something back. I'm like, listen, bro, what you did was right. And the reality is there's so many people who hate themselves. They hate their life. They hate their life choices or whatever's going on. And so that's where the ignorance comes from, where they don't care about the next person. Like, oh, I can drive, I'm gonna just try to scare him or whatever. And I'm like, well, that has more to do with them than it does with you. Yep. And to your credit, I'm like, you handled it the right way. For sure. Because the ego would have brought out the heat. For sure. And then we'd be having a whole day, we'd probably trying to bail you out and raise funds, GoFundMe and all that stuff, right? Like, we would have to figure out, oh, we got to get Dino out of there because, right? And then you have to, that's a whole spiral of things that can happen. But, like, those people exist. For sure. And they always are going to say something to try to trigger you or get a reaction from you because, to some degree, they know, well, I have this system in my back pocket. For sure. So I can say something ridiculous and then turn around and play the victim. Yeah. Right? Where you're like, yo, I got my kids and like, I'm trying to protect myself and my family.
Well, it's like I tell people too, right? Like, I explain to people, it's crazy that we live, and I've always, again, when you had said that, like, I knew that I handled it the way because I knew what I was capable of doing, and I knew how that could turn out, right? So it's like, luckily I'm smart enough and growing and maturing, as you stated, enough to like let that go. But it's crazy to me because it's like, people don't understand that, man. Like, how do I say it? Like, I had brought this up one time in the shop, and I said, I'm not afraid of what I'm, like, I will never question what I will do, right? If ever somebody broke into my house, or if I had a weapon, I'm not afraid of what I'm capable of doing. You know what scares the shit out of me? Is the like 1,000-to-1 ratio that I'm gonna lose in the justice system, right? How many times have we seen that?
Right.
How many times have we seen that? Like, and then it's even worse as a veteran, because I already know right off the bat, my mentality, if somebody breaks into my house, I know what I'm aiming for. We're trained to hit in a certain gesture. What's crazy is I was taught when I was getting my concealed license, right, in Texas, the dude who was training me was a DEA guy or whatever, and he explained, he's like, to all my veterans out there, the hardest thing that you're gonna have to deal with is knowing that if you ever have to draw your weapon, you have to backpedal. Because the difference between a soldier who's taught to engage forward, right, as opposed to a natural civilian who's scared, is gonna, and back up, there's a difference. One is an aggressor, one is a self-defense, right? So like, it's things like that, that when people ask about why, and you start, and this gets even deeper, but you start getting into, police shootings and all this stuff, my biggest problem has always been the training. The thing, like the training with these people, the training with like police departments and all this stuff, man, the lack of, right? Because it's like, think about what I just said. So if that situation happens, not only do I have to think about, I need to protect my family and myself, but I also have to be aware of how I'm engaging the situation. Because it could easily turn, right? Like in Florida, somebody can break in your house in Florida and sue you for breaking in your house.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Right?
Florida just should break
Again,
off
yeah.
and kind of float and just be.
But
an
it's the
island.
same. It's the same principle, man. And it's just like, like that to me is just, it's like, damn, like I don't get it, man. It's like, what do you gain from that, right? Like that's where I question, like, what did you gain for that? Now, what happened if you really did hit me? Right.
But then the hard part though is, one, you have to accept the fact you're never gonna get that answer.
Oh, for sure. Right. I'm not asking that like for me. I, like that situation is gone, right? But I asked that for the kid who can't process that, right? The kid who walks down the street and says, why, what did I do, right? Like why is this being drawn upon me? And it's kind of like, you have to learn to understand. And I've always said it, man. Yo, listen, like I'm probably gonna get heat on this. I don't believe that we'll ever change racism. We'll ever change the stuff that's going on there. But I think what we can change is, like we always talk about, right? Our community, our piece of the pie. Because if we can start doing this and having these conversations and growing and expanding and bringing more people in, then we can kind of bring more awareness. But I don't think you're ever going to change the system because the system runs so
it have to be
deep-rooted.
Yeah, that's not happening.
You know what I'm saying? So my point to that is, I tell people, and I know you want to jump in, my point to that I tell people is, stop trying to compare, right? When somebody says, oh, racism, oh, well, my ancestors went through, well, my people did this, well, this, stop that shit, man. And just start moving from now forward. Hey, how can we come to an agreement? How can we fix this, right? Like, we can't change what was already done, right? And I know, because we've had these conversations where you're like, yo, but you can't forget. No, I'm not saying forget what happened. We'll never forget what happened. But what I am saying is, in order to move forward, at some point we have to just say, you know what? I'm not going to argue with you about right or wrong, because we'll never go anywhere. But if I can find a common ground to say, hey, well, what do you think about this? Well, I think this. Well, hey, I agree with you on that. How do we push? You know what I mean? And I think that we can start kind of moving forward to that. But yeah, man, it was, it was a crazy situation, because like I got in the car and my girl was just looking at me like she didn't know what to say, because she, like, a part of her was shocked that I was willing to stand like in front of the car. Like I didn't move. Like I just stood there and looked, and she swerved and she just kind of looked. She's like, you were willing to get hit? I'm like, it is what it is. I would have handled it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and God forbid if I would have got up. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, to somebody who doesn't know how to handle that, like to your point, like just dump it. You know what I'm saying? And just keep moving.
Here's a problem. Two things. One is that there's a huge number of people out there that are so entitled that they think that the rules don't apply to them, right? What
Facts.
Not necessarily.
Say
and
that
I,
one
and I
more
realize
time.
that's not a racial thing. That's,
No, say that
lots of
one more
people,
time,
right?
yeah.
And then, so I can go wherever I want. I can drive wherever I want. I can drive as fast as I want. I just don't care about anybody else. I only care about me. Right?
Yeah.
Narcissism is running rampant in not just this country, but in this world right
Yes.
now. It's horrible. And I don't know what the solution to that is. The other problem is that, yes, you're a responsible gun owner and maybe you what if they're not? Right?
Yeah.
What if, and you just don't know that, especially here in Arizona. You just don't know who else is going to pull their gun. I mean, what if you left your gun in your car, right?
Yeah.
And they just, right? So you just, unfortunately, you just can't engage people here. You just never know what's going to happen.
Right.
No, for sure.
It's hard to. I don't know. People call it the high road, right? Take the high
take the
road,
high road,
and that shit sounds cool AF. But sometimes it is the hardest, most difficult road to take when you know better, and especially as a male, as a man, and you feel like, yo, you trying me right now.
Right.
Like now you disrespecting. I mean, this happened to me in I used to take Ubers to the gym, right? And a lot of Ubers. And I just had one bad, right? And I'm an energy person, so I get in, say what's up, good morning or whatever. The dude don't say like damn near nothing. So I'm like, all right, well, he ain't the friendly type, but whatever. So I'm on my phone. We ain't saying nothing the whole ride. Get right in front of the gym. And I was like, thanks, bro. Like, have a nice day or whatever. And he's like, get the F out my car. So when my ego kicked in, I said, yo, what's your problem? And I closed the door. And I sat in the back. I said, what's your problem? And then he acted like, oh, I'm reaching for something. I said, oh, you gonna shoot me? Get out the car. Because if I'm getting out, you getting out, and we can handle this. Because obviously you got a problem.
Right.
No, just get out. I said, no, you get out. So I opened the car door. Now my mind is like, okay, I'm about to fight this dude. I think he got a gun. Like you just,
Yeah.
right? Like you threaten my life low key, whether you playing or not.
You cross those lines, yeah.
And I'm in front of the place that I work. This is right in front, like right there in front of the gym.
Right.
And so I open the door and I get out. And I'm like, get out the car, bro. Because you done threatened me, so it's on now.
Right.
He ain't moving. Close my door. You get out and close the door. Because soon as you come out, it's a wrap. But guess what? Even after I beat this dude down, who's in the wrong?
Yep.
Because nobody knows what happened inside the car. So I just left the door open, walked around. He drove off with the door open until the wind closed the door. And I just made sure I had like a screenshot of his picture or whatever. And I was like, yo, this dude is not.
Well, see, and that's the problem that I have is how, like, it seems like every time you're told, take the high road, take the high road, take the high road, right? What's funny is it seems like there's only one side that's always taking the high road.
Yeah.
Right? So then that gives a pass to those individuals, to your point, that feel they're entitled to say and do what they want.
Right, because they keep getting away with it.
Because they keep getting away with it, right? So like I had brought up, the issue, what I was saying before is until the consequences outweigh the actions of the individuals doing it, they will never stop doing it. What my point is like, okay, like he said, so you feel the right to tell me to get the F out the car, right? But until he then was now checked and said, oh, whoa, wait a minute. Yeah, I'm not the one, right? Like, and when someone, that's where that saying comes from. I'm not the one. Like, oh no, we're going to have this conversation. Right. Now that individual realizes, oh, snap. Now the gamble to that is, to your point, right? That can go, at that point, you accept what's happening, right? So like for me, like, God forbid if it came to that point, like, I always live by that. My mother always taught me, she's like, if you can stand behind whatever actions you're about to take, you better have already processed and accepted the consequences that come with it. And if you can, then I'll always stand behind you. So my point to that is like, if I ever got to that point to where it was like somebody was drawing on there, then at that point I'm looking at them and I'm just simply saying, I'm ready to die. Because it's like, if this is where we're going, then this is where we're going, right? And it sucks because like you said, there are ignorant people, there are stupid people that are irresponsible.
But if you stand there and get hit, does it change their behavior?
No,
what
absolutely
they
not.
blame you. They're like, this dude just ran in front of my car and wouldn't get out of the way,
But
right?
again, my point, even if I have witnesses that were there, again, that's where the problem is. And the reason why they can turn around what you just said, because of the system that protects them, they're allowed to turn around and say, well, he was standing in the way. And then it's going to be my word against theirs. And what's the likelihood that a Latino is going to win against fucking Uncle Judith and you know, like, come on, man.
Okay, let's talk about his situation.
Why is he you look like a grown woman.
Do you know that it was racially motivated what happened in the car?
What does that matter?
I don't know that, but I felt that.
You felt that? Okay. So the only reason that I'm asking is because let's just say that was the case, right? He just didn't want to have a black person in his car.
Right.
Did you saying I want to fight? Did that change his opinion of black people? I was like, oh man, that's a good dude. I really should. I respect him now. Is he gonna? No, he's not. You can't change those people's minds.
Right.
So you can kill yourself trying. And I am the worst. Like in traffic, I see somebody doing something that they're not supposed to be doing. Driving. I want to. Like when I see somebody with their phone in their hand, I want to roll down my window and go, put your damn phone down. But you know what? They won't, or they will for a second. They won't. You can give them tickets. They're always going to do it. It's like people who drink and drive. They're always going to do it until they kill somebody, right? So unfortunately, we can't be the ones that fix that.
You can't, and I agree with you. I think you're absolutely right. But from somebody, from two individuals who deal with those type of things, it's like I can't help to look at it and just be like, you know what, though, man. Fuck that. Because how many times are they going to be given a free pass to say, maybe I don't fix something. Maybe I don't. Or maybe he gets an ass whooping of his life that makes him think twice to ever go back and charge. You know what I'm saying? And
but I can't do it either, Dino.
No,
I understand that.
I know.
I understand that if they hit me and then in court, we're even, right?
For sure.
Then I got a way better shot of winning than you do. I understand what you're saying. And that shit's
it's
terrible.
not
Part of it is people knowing, like,
yes.
This just sparked something else that happened to me when I was at a previous gym. They had this 2-hour, 3-hour parking, whatever, right? Time I'm driving a Dodge Charger, whatever. And so I know that I got a class for an hour and then I'm done. So I'm not worried about the 2-hour window, right? And it's right in the front of like a Zoe's Kitchen, whatever. And there's a guy on the cart. He always comes around and puts a little marker on your tire when it gets close, right? So I know what's going on. Come out. I'm in my car. I'm waiting because there's cars coming by, so I can't back up into a busy street.
Right.
So I'm just waiting. And then I see him on his cart pull up. But he pulls up right behind my car. So now I'm looking in the rearview like, well, I can't back up now. So I put my car back in park. He starts to write a ticket. I roll down the window. I'm like, bro, I'm leaving. So I open the door. I'm like halfway standing there. I'm like, bro, I'm leaving. Why are you writing this ticket? He's like, well, the time is up. I said, but I've been in my car. I said, what you want me to do? Hit you? I swear to promise this dude took it like I said I was going to punch him in the face. And he's like, what? You want to hit me? I'll call the cops. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? My car was in reverse. Look where your car is at. It's directly behind my car. So if I go in reverse, I'm going to hit your car. What are you talking? He's like, and now people are watching. So now I'm like, okay, now I have to shrink myself and tone myself down. Because here's this older white dude saying, oh, all they hear is, oh, you gonna hit me? Because he said that loud. And I'm like, bro,
but see,
I'm not gonna hit you, bro. I'm telling. Then he says, oh, well, your car's not even on. This is what he says to me. Well, your car's not even on. I said, oh, it's not? Are you sure? And I hit the gas. I'm still standing. I put my foot in. Ying. Said, so how could I do that, bro, if my car's not on? Oh, man, well, that's a good sounding engine you got there. And then I just looked at him. Bro. You talk about high road? I just looked at this dude. And I said, you know what, man? I know all you care about is money. Just write the ticket, bro. I'm fine. Just write it. Because Like, you know you're wrong.
Yeah.
And instead of just saying, you know what? You were in reverse. Or you know what? You would have hit my car.
Yeah.
Or you know what? Oh, your car is on. But you trying to prove a point.
Right.
And then your go-to is, I'm going to call the police. Bruh, hell no.
Yeah.
Give me the ticket. So, like,
Did you
that's
actually give me the ticket?
Yes.
See, my
And then after that, every day, like, hey.
Yeah, try to be cool. See, my thing is like, yes, my point of what I was making was like how you were saying, like, if I go to court or whatever, that is, a big factor, and we all know that. It's not even that for me. What really bothers me is when people, how many times do people have to tell you, hey man, just let it go because you're not gonna fix it, right? And it's like, and it sucks because you're so right. You're 1,000% right, man. It's not worth the thing. But then the same way we're being told, right? It's not worth it for us to tell somebody, hey man, get off your phone. They turn around and freaking shoot you or something, right? It's not worth it. But the reverse to that is that they know it's not worth it to you, so I can push the limit of what I want to do. And that's the problem that I have, because it's like, damn, man, like, how many times do you have to be told to turn the cheek? You know what I mean? Well, damn, I only got two cheeks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
both of them.
and that's the thing, right? Is that it starts with one little crumble. It's just like when you throw a rock into the pond, right? You can do a small little pebble, and then or it can keep going, and that's what happens. And I think that's what's happened over the history of time, is that these people are continuously, you know what I'm saying, getting to this point and
getting worse,
and it's getting worse because they're knowing that they're protected and bounded by these things that are happening, because the likelihood of a colored person going to court and affording an attorney, right, is one thing. That's number one right off the bat. But then two, they can turn around and say, hey, well, you know what I mean? I'm just a little old, Margaret, trying to, I was driving and I don't know what happened. Like, and then you deal with, and then you deal with the other factor, the third, right? Where to that point, I get hit, I see that. Well, now I got me and my girlfriend. Well, that's not going to hold in court, because they're going to be like, oh, well, she's just going to side with him. So then if I ask the other dude, hey, man, you saw what happened. No, I don't want nothing to do with it, man. I'm staying out of it. Right? So it's like, at some point, that's where it comes back to where, for me as a veteran, I look at it and I sometimes ask the question, like, damn, man, like, as Americans, like, as people, right? Like, where the fuck is y'all's balls at, man? Like, where is that American pride of like, hey, man, let me stand up and help somebody who's doing something, right? Let me stand up and see this injustice that's happening and saying, hey, let me jump in. And I'm not saying this like the opportunists that have been going out there that are like, Black Lives Matter and Latinos lives. No, you're only saying that so you can get clout. I'm talking about the genuine person who's like, hey, bro, I'm willing to die with you. You know what I'm saying? To get you out of this situation, to help you. Or to, you know what I mean? Whatever the case is. I mean, and we can go down, the whole forever, but it's like, damn, man, like, that just to me is just like, how many times do these people keep getting the pass? And it's just like, it only leads me to believe that it's like, yo, like, the sad part is that 90% of these people, they're going to keep pushing it because they're able to, but they're also, to your point that you brought up earlier, it's their own fear of what if these minorities of all races gain power, gain control, become strong. Are they going to hang us? Are they going to rape us? Are they going to do all the things that were done in the past? You know what I'm saying? To those cultures and stuff. And it's like, no, I'm just sick and tired of hearing like, why does it have to be a black man that entered the room? Why does it have to be it's a Latino guy, this and that?
Why is it always that?
Why does it always have to be that? Like, why can't it just be like, yo, a man came in the room? I get mad when I tell a story sometimes and I'm talking about my brothers and I'm like, yo, my brother's like this and that, like he was this and then they're like, oh, where's it? Oh, yeah. And then I catch myself, oh, yeah, he's black. And it kills me because I'm like, why does that even matter? Right? And that just goes into, it's just a long topic, man. I just, for me, man, it's like, damn, like sometimes I wish I could just sit down and like dig into the minds of some of these people. Like, yo, like what would like, and you can't.
And but that's the hard part. Is like people don't even know what it feels like to shrink yourself.
Right.
Like, right. Innately, that's what you have to do. I have to gracefully bow out because I know what's coming. I know because I look a certain way and you got muscles and nothing is in my favor.
Nothing.
So it's like, oh, you're gonna call the police? Come on, bro. I'm in a Dodge Charger. I got muscle. Like,
yeah. Well, look what happened when we were moving into my house. I had told him about it. And I said, because we had this conversation. I said, man, it's crazy, bro. Because even as a Latino, because Latinos and the black community, we're the same, man. You look at our roots. We are the same.
Wake up.
You know what I'm saying? We come from the same Caribbean background, everything.
Yeah.
And so I was telling him, I said, yo, it's crazy, man, because I'm like the light-skinned black dude, right? And what I mean by that is it frustrates me because my neighbor across the street, I had moved into my house for a week and a half. They've been working on my house, and I see this dude standing in front of the window the entire time, just looking like, who are these kids? And I'm always waving, I'm this and that, whatever. Nothing. All of a sudden, Chad and Kenyatta come over, my brother Jim comes over, and we're all moving. Now, Mr. Ray want to come out. Hey, what's going on, fellas? Hey, this and that. And he looking at them, and I'm like, yeah, I just moved in.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, how's it going, man? Well, I'm Ray. Hey, what's going on, Ray? I'm Dino.
Really?
And I looked at them, and I told them, I said, so I feel where you coming from, because I've dealt with that my entire life. I dealt with that when I was in the barbershop. I'm the dude from the barbershop that nobody wanted to freaking mess with because they're like, nah, he light skinned. Or because I'm more white than I am Latino because I ain't been tanning like I normally do and I get that natural, you know what I'm saying?
Your natural glow.
You know what I mean? We don't do no fake tanning over here. Nah, but you know, I told him that. I said, it's sad that even in our own community, it's like that, right? That it's like...
It's layered.
It's layered, you know what I'm saying? And it's just kind of like, man, like... You know, so gone are the days of, you know, like just walking up and saying what's up to somebody or saying hi to somebody or just being generous or like, hey, can I help you with that or whatever? And then,
well, let me say this because I know you said long guard to get the days. Yes and no.
For sure.
Right? Like, and this has brought me to Saturday. We had an event. We go to First Watch. There's what, 9 of us? 8 of us at a table, eating, laughing, whatever. This dude sitting at a table next to us, doesn't say a word. Swole white dude, but look cool, like he would probably be a cool dude to have a combo with. Gets up, leaves. We chilling. The lady comes back and say, hey, the gentleman at that table bought all y'all food. You know what I mean? Like on some, wasn't expecting it, didn't, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter that he was a white dude. He could have been whatever. But it was the gesture that was just kind of like, oh, there are people like this around, right? And so it's unfortunate that we got to deal with the ignorance and whatever, right? And we got to downplay stuff or you know, try to net. Like I tell them, we don't have no off days.
Right.
We don't.
Right.
Like luckily something didn't happen today. Cool. Probably because I stayed in the house. Like,
facts.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then you go out and something like that happens and you're like, man, I actually really want to talk to the dude now. Not because I think he has money.
Right.
It's just because, well, his mindset is that of a giver. Wow. So they do exist. And thank you, Mystery Sir, for that reminder. While sometimes we're like, man, watch out. I'm so guarded.
It's a hard balance.
Because we have to be, right? Yeah. But we can flip it real quick and take ourselves back to the hood, whether it's in Orlando, if I go to Miami or whatever. And within our own, we're going to have to, it's going to be a different, what you looking at? What's up? Where you from? Oh, so it's always
a battle. The switch is always on.
And you never know. And that's why I try my best to like speak when I see people like, oh, what's up? And then if they say, what's up, back, cool. If they don't, I'm like, oh, okay, you one of those.
The greatest thing you can do is learn people's energy, man. That to me has been, it don't lie. And that's always been my, cause I'm a talker, man, as you can tell. I'm a talker, but I'm also very like people. I know I got a you know, resting bitch face, man, and people always like, oh, you, and then they come to find out.
Told you that?
Yeah, plenty of times. So, but then no, because I know I'm a clown when you get to know me. But nah, people always look at me like, yo, man, you look, you know, whatever. But my point being is that like it's hard because sometimes like you try to be genuine to people and you try to be cool, but like. Sometimes you just gotta learn, like, hey man, you give it a shot. If they don't, cool, you keep it moving. You know what I mean? And that's that. Because I do agree. When I was in the military, man, there was so many people that, you know, I mean, I just took care of so many things. I flew first class. I did all kinds of stuff from people just being, you know, and very anonymous. You know what I mean? Like, nah, I don't even want to just hand it to them, whatever. Like, so, you know, I do know that people exist. I know there's people that are like me that exist out there as well, and you and everybody else that are givers. It's just, you know, it's a tough thing to deal with, you know.
You can't fix the people that tried to run those people. They can't be fixed, right? The way you can make the world a better place, though, is to do those kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
Solve the things you can, help the people that you can help. And so when something like that happens, I know it's hard, man. Listen, if I was in that situation, I'd have been beaten on there. What's wrong with you? You can't drive. I mean, I absolutely. But again, and when I do that, my wife loses her mind. She's like, someone's going to shoot you one of these days, right? You can't fix these people. It's really hard. I understand. But we have to put our energy into people that we can fix, people that we can help, things that we can do. That's got to be the solution, right?
No,
you got to take all that
That's what we
frustration
say.
and put it somewhere else.
Control the controllables.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, anyways, we're gonna get out of here. I feel like that was a good
way to end it.
amount of time. Shout out to you know what I mean? We always got products up here. Y'all can check it out. I would spray this right here, but I ain't gonna do that to y'all. But shout out to Nia, the lock goddess in the building. You know what I mean? This is what I use in my hair.
Hey.
I don't know if Freddie B want any of this.
I do not use it in my hair.
But her products are fire. Like, for real, this is a hydration. So I'll just spray that, you know. I live in Arizona.
How do you use it? How do you?
This one I just spray on my hair because it's just like water and it's like a mist. Like before I leave the house or before I go to sleep.
So
I
is
use
this?
Is it like Soul Glow?
They follow. I'm assuming they follow you.
From coming to America.
I need to know
Soul
about
Glow.
this, man, because as a barber, I could definitely.
Yeah. So this is like the shampoo. This is fire. And then that's like a lemongrass oil. It smells phenomenal.
This is the shampoo.
Yeah. You're the lock god. I'm trying to tell y'all. It's fire.
Well, does it only work for locks, or can you use it for like waves?
I got locks.
You want your shit tight? If y'all see Kenyatta in a couple weeks with a messed up haircut, y'all know why. His locks will be nice.
I got locks. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say she got some other products for other types of hair styles, but I'm representing for the people that's you know what I'm saying, rocking the locks in these streets.
I gotta link up with them.
And shout out to my dude. I can't even put my foot up. It's too high. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Those rock deeps, those are fire.
Hey, you know what I mean? Shout out to Rock Deep in the building. All right, man, we're going to get out of here. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll holler at y'all next time.
All right.
We out here. Peace, love, and fire ants. Shout out to palm trees. You know how we do.
Yep. To the moon.